Okay, hold on.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Prune Belly Insiders. I'm your host here, Michael Adams, and I got a very special guest on with me today. Please help me welcome Pauly Hart.
Hey,
How are you doing today, Pauly?
doing really well. Doing really well. It's a great opportunity and an honor to be here.
Thank you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we start?
Okay, I am 50 years old. I have Prune belly syndrome. I am alive and I'm fully capable. I've got my motor skills and full functions, and I actively walk around with the rest of humans, pretending to be one of them. And besides getting the old, hey, you should quit drinking beer. I'm doing okay. So, incognito, as it were, among the regulars.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I know we talked a little bit about your story before you came on here. So why don't we start off? Why don't you tell me your earliest memory with Prune belly syndrome?
That's a very tough one, of which I had to endure a lot of emotional healing from, because my first memory was when I was, and it was 73, and we were in Indonesia. I would herniate from my scrotum every time I cried. So we, at the time in Indonesia, were very rich. My dad worked for the oil business. So we had servants with us. The word is not really PC, but that's what they were. They were house servants, and they would hold me. My mother would hold me so I wouldn't cry. So I got everything I wanted for the first 3 years of my life. Everything was handed to me, and no crying, no emotional. So that's going to build up some stuff. So my first memory is of my mother having just talked to the doctor. He told her it's okay to let little Paul cry, and she put me down. We had a convertible day bed with the little side that went up. She put me down in the day bed, and she told me I couldn't get up. Of course, it was hard for me to get up anyway, rolling around, thrashing like a weevil. But she said, go ahead, it's nap time, and you can't get out of bed, and I'm going to lay you down. And I was crying, and I was hollering and whining. This was the first time I was told no for probably most my whole life. And I remember her, as I'm screaming, crying, her walking out the room and shutting the door. And that, for most of my life, has been my first memory. And I've tried very, very hard to get over that fear of rejection, fear of commitment, fear of failure, all these, anxieties and woes that come with that first memory. And honestly, that's the first memory I've ever had. So yeah, tough stuff to get through, but here I am going away. The only way to lose is when you quit. So I've just never stopped.
Yeah. So you said for the first 3 years, everything was handed to you. Did that affect you at all, like mentally?
Yeah, I was emotionally at 21. I was 12. I recall having to go through and talk to my counselor. He was like, why do you do this when this happens? And I didn't have an answer, because someone who has not really been through the formative years, the first 4 years of your life, very formative. And I was crippled. It was a crippling effect that it had on me to have had everything handed to me on a silver platter, breastfed, wet nursed, everything held, coddled. And so I wet my pants and wet the bed till I was like 5. So my mom got tired of that, so I had to carry my own diaper bag. So that kind of cured me from wetting my pants. So out of diapers at 5 or 6. But yeah, I'm 50 now, and I probably am going to say that I matched my age and my EQ, my emotional quotient, at around 35 years of age, which was a long time to catch up. But I think I got there. I think I'm okay now. At least I'm getting there.
All right, that's good. Now, what's the first surgery you remember?
First surgery, let me scroll through my notes here, because I just talked to my dad. It was 1979. So yeah, 1979. I had testicles, but were still kind of up there. So they said, well, we're going to bring them down. So they were able to bring one down, one didn't come down, and I had white hair at the time. It was just bleach white with white eyebrows, white eyelashes, no pigmentation at all. So when I had the surgery, it was sometime after that I started developing color in my hair, and had a delayed puberty. So maybe that happened at 15 or 16. But the first surgery I remember, and I was actually, we had a big old Volvo station wagon, and I was laying down in the back, and I'm looking at the staples in my stomach, and I recall them coming open. The staples are coming open, and I could see my inside. So we had to rush back to the hospital. You know, I was like, Mom, I'm like, I'm going undone. So they didn't know anything back then. You know, it was like when I was born, the doctors were like, okay, oh, this is a Prune belly kid. Hey, we've read about this. You know, we've never seen one before. So there was a lot of mystery and intrigue that went along with my thing, my Eagle Barrettes, and they didn't know what to do. So those little staples, you know, in hindsight, I guess everything's okay now. I've got a big scar, so that was hard for everybody, especially my mom driving the car, little kid screaming in the back about his staples coming undone. So yeah.
Yeah. That's actually interesting because, believe it or not, the staples came undone for my first transplant as well.
Wow.
And then I think my mom's scar, because she donated my second transplant to me, ended up breaking open too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the things that they should have done that they didn't do. Oh.
I know it's hard for doctors sometimes because, like you said, they've only read about it. I mean, it's rare to see a prune belly patient, never alone coming to 21 or in your case 50. So growing up, would you say you've had many friends or bullies, or how was your social life?
Social life, I will tell you a story of when I was in the second grade being bused from Mueller grade school to my stop, which was about a block from my house. I had pooped myself, and I had to endure the bus ride back home. I most of the time I could hold it, most of the time, but there were some times where it was just like the cork came out of the bottle and things just kind of became a mess. So besides being called poopy pants and having to transfer to a new school at Hyde Elementary in Wichita, Kansas, at Hyde I was accepted as that other kid, and that was okay because I didn't get called names until I transferred to yet another school, and then I got called the pregnant boy. And so pregnant boy had issues, and that stuck with me for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. I was pregnant boy, and it was only Heather Cozine who stuck up for me, and she's now married to the bassist from Newsboys Christian band. Heather Joel is her last name now, so she's one of my heroes. Heather stuck up for me in grade school, and it made the other kids quiet down. So they would steal my shoes and steal my hats and steal my coats and everything and throw them in the trash can. And you know, that's okay. It was tough, but I was never. And so being seen as an outsider, right? Like you view yourself, you start to see, oh, I am an outsider. So you start playing into the role of what they want you to play into. Well, they're just children, making fun of other children for being different or weird or abnormal or not part of the same, you don't look like me. So it's tough to understand who you are. But when you recognize that my name is Pauly Hart and I was created to be Pauly Hart, and so I'm supposed to be the best version of that guy possible, then you learn to ignore your peers. You learn to say, I'm not going to listen to you because you're not telling me the right thing. And so I think most of my success came when I stopped listening and stopped caring what other people thought about who I was and started recognizing the way God made me and understanding his love was perfect. And I can accept that as who I'm supposed to be. So the challenge was just learning how to ignore the things that shouldn't have ever been there in the first place.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And by the way, Newsboys like my favorite band too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I love those guys too. I grew up with them, and having Heather marry Mr. Joel was kind of just a strange switcheroo there, but she's awesome, and the Newsboys are still doing tours, I think. So I don't catch up with them anymore, but yeah, they're still out there.
Now, the people who are bullying you, were they aware that you had prune belly?
Yes and no. So I was part of, as a child, the neighborhood local league of baseball. They were run by a man named Coach Burbach, and he jokingly named us Burbach's Brew. So he was a hillbilly from the other side of the tracks, and he treated me like a regular kid. And that was the first person to ever yell at me like he yelled at the other boys. And so even though he was a mean, spiteful, hateful old man, getting treated the same as the other kids was like a revelation. Like, he's not poking fun of my prune belly, my crazy duck feet legs. He just get mad at me because I am not throwing the ball fast or not running fast. So by him treating me normal there, it melted in a little bit into my school life. And when I moved schools again after visiting this other school with Heather, for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grades, the coach Doug Unruh, was told of my situation and what I needed and any special things. And so he treated me different, and it kind of word got around, obviously, when the boys' shower room, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with Paul? Why does he look like he's pregnant?
Yeah.
It was hard, but then one of the most popular kids in class, Sean Weeby, had the where you have a lot of white cells and it attacks your hair. I can't remember the name of that.
I don't know the name of it, but
yeah. So he was bald, so he wore a wig. Sean was the strongest boy in school, the healthiest boy in school. Not melanoma? No. Anyway, that the word. Anyway, they don't have any hair on their face or their body. So he would stay late after practice. After I was in soccer and I was in track, didn't do well at either of them, but because Coach Unruh was so nice to me, he put me in there. So I was seen as athletic because I did have a lot of energy. I've got ADHD and I'm always bouncing around, so a lot of energy, had to do something with it. Sean was there late and I would stay late. I would ask if I could also shower late, but so it was just me and Sean in the shower room at the end, and so I got to hang out with the cool guy. And so in that elevation, yes, it was really a blessing to me, as the I'm going to say fat, and I don't mean it as a derogatory sense, but I mean it as the perception from them as the fat slow kid. Even though I was skinny, I've still have really skinny wrists and really skinny legs, but it's just the middle portion, right?
yeah.
So because I was with Sean, the elevation and the society hierarchy of what children perceive was elevated. So that was a mixed blessing. And I think through the kids, and it was a Christian school, it was Berean Academy in Elbing, Kansas, and it was a good place for me because they were all farmers and outcasts from the city of Wichita. They had to drive an hour on the bus every day, both ways, so 2 hours. We were kind of the outcasts or the rich kids or the farmers, so we weren't the normals anyway. So that was a strange and mixed blessing. I think my biggest takeaway from the bullying and then the acceptance is that everyone has a problem. Everyone has 50 problems. Everyone has good things about them and bad things about them. And you just have to, and it sounds so trite to say it, but you have to play with the cards you're dealt. And what that means is, if life gives you lemons, set up a lemonade stand. If life gives you lemons, plant them and grow an orchard and then make the money and then become a millionaire. Not just make lemonade, do something more exciting and more profound than you could ever dream possible. So that's what I've done with my life. I've just kept on going, and I'd say, okay, I reached this platform. I don't want to settle for this. I want to go higher and then keep on trucking. So it helped. I think being ridiculed in the end helped me to persist and be tenacious with who I believed I was supposed to be. That's a hard lesson, and it hurt to go through it, but in the end, I'm stronger for it.
Yeah. And I don't want to go too far back, but just going back a little bit to where you said the one coach treated you like everyone else.
Coach Burbach.
Yeah, I don't think some people realize just how much that means to a person sometimes. Because I had gone to a Christian school and the entire school knew about my condition, prune belly. And unfortunately, I was treated different by almost everybody. There's maybe 3 people there that treated me the same as everyone else. And those are actually the people I clung to, and they became almost like family to me.
Right. It's interesting to know that no matter what clique or what caste you're put in with the jocks or the preps or the nerds or the AV club, you know, it when you find that 1 or 2 guys or gals that you just really get along with, and all that stuff just dissolves, right? It was me and Wesley and Ned and Aaron and Mike and Russell and Brian. You know, we were just, you know, like peas and carrots. A lot of the times we didn't get along with one of the 2, or maybe Tim would join, but we would always, you know, find the other guy. And I know most of these guys. Ned actually has passed away. He was one of my best friends. We threw discus together, and he's gone now, but he was a stutterer. They were very, very impoverished, so he didn't shower every day. He had a lot of other medical problems wrong with him, so we got along. I bought him, believe it or not, I bought him the actual handbook of Grey's Anatomy for his birthday, and he said, "Oh, this is the one thing I've always wanted." And he was in the 8th grade, so, you know, nerds, we clicked. And I was, you know, I'm a smart guy, but I'm not really nerdy, more of a geek, I guess. So, yeah, you know, it just, everybody else just seems to fade away, and you become a normal person inside of your own tiny little circle. And that's what friends, I mean, when they come along, you just got to hold on to them, and you got to treat them like gold. You got to always take care of them and serve them and treat them the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, and I think people really need to understand it a little bit more. At the end of the day, whether you're a geek, you're a nerd, you're a jock, whatever you are, you're still human. And that's the part a lot of people, well, a lot of people in school, I should say, tend to forget that part of it.
Yes.
At the end of the day, the same blood runs through my veins as yours.
Right, right. Like my dad told me when they were drafting for Vietnam, 2 eyes, check. 2 ears, check. 2 arms, check. Okay, human, go.
So, did you have any mental problems through prune belly?
I was diagnosed. My main issues were the ascended testicles. My feet were actually pigeon-toed, so they were pretty much like this, and that had to do with my sway back. I had just like Forrest Gump, crooked as a question mark. So I was in braces, leg braces, for 2 years, and then I had a heart murmur. So my only real operation, besides treatments, my only real operation was the testicle dissension, and of which I lost 1. They told me I wouldn't have enough oxygen to be able to think, or to be able to cognitively, you know, get along or have a conversation, this and that and the other. My mental assumptions of who people were, obviously through the first 3 years of my life, I thought everybody was there for me. I was my own, you know, person inside of my own little world and my own little God. And I, you know, thought everyone was there to serve me. So obviously that hurdle needed to get over, right? I'm just one of many. I'm individual and unique. I am that snowflake, but at the same time, I'm in the middle of a blizzard where every snowflake is the same, unique, different, and beautiful. There's not one person more important than me. And I'm not important more than anybody else. So understanding the whole concept of just how life works was my biggest mental hurdle. I do have, I don't know if you know, are you familiar with the Briggs-Myers personality matrix?
No, I'm not.
Okay, inside the MBTI, the Briggs-Myers personality matrix, I'm an INTP. So that means that I'm an engineer by nature. And the DISC profile, I'm a CD, in the Enneagram, I'm a 4-5 or a 5-4 sometimes. And so on the phlegmatic scale, I think I'm a choleric sanguine. So all these things, I had to find out who I was. So I'm a studier. I do have an IQ of 175, praise Jesus. But so it was easy for me to understand and find out why or who or what or how this was working with this other thing and the interconnections and the logistics of everything. But that doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It's just how I got through it, is I had to put it together. And so my best friends in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade were Legos. I didn't have any people as friends because I couldn't get along with people. I didn't understand what they wanted. I do have Asperger's syndrome, which is also a big hindrance. So to me, my hero on TV was Data from Star Trek, because I'm like, oh yeah, that's how people are supposed to work. But like, no, he's an android. Oh, okay. So I had to learn kind of like with Data how to get along with people, how to understand how people worked. And so I don't know how the ADHD and the Asperger's syndrome came along with Prune Belly. I don't know if it was related. I do know that I still have it. And so that's why I've got 1,000 projects. I've got paintings on the wall. I've got a stack of books I'm giving away. And so I'm doing 1,000 things all the time because I get bored at the drop of a hat. I'm like, oh, okay, this is boring. I'm gonna go do something else. All over the place. So my wife just kind of locks me in this room until I can come out when I'm satiated with, I'm calmed down. So do I have mental problems? Yes, I think everybody does. But once you find out who you are as a person, your intellect, your will, your wit, the way you handle emotional scars, the way you construct life around you, the way you put people in perspectives, the way you pyramid scheme what's important, A, B, this, that, the other, the way you put stuff in a box and this is important, so I'll put it over here. All these mental agility feats of just the way we acquiesce to the world around us and coming into a complete unification of how do I fit into this puzzle? Where is my place? What am I supposed to do? And once you find that, Mike, just like you were doing this YouTube thing, this is a blessing to others. And a lot of people have probably thought about this before. You're actually doing it. And so, you're becoming the best Mike you're supposed to be. And just like we all are, finding our piece in this worldwide matrix is the most powerful mental feat you could ever accomplish, I think.
Thank you.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually part of the reason I started this channel. Is there is no YouTube channel other than this, talking to prune bellies, getting their side of the story. I mean, yes, we hear it from doctors, and yes, they are important, but I feel like it's time we start hearing it from parents who's had to deal with it, from siblings, from their point of view, and more importantly, from the people living with this disease. Because I remember growing up, I was basically told I would never find another prune belly I could talk to, ever.
I was told the same thing. I was told that I would never meet another person with prune belly because they're all dead. And I was the only one that I'd ever meet.
Yep. So I just want to put this out here just for the channel real quick. To anyone watching this who feels like they're alone, prune bellies, parents, siblings, anybody, I am going to put my number down in the description. Feel free to call me if you want to talk privately. I won't say anything online. If you want to come tell your story, that's fine too. But I know sometimes having somebody to talk to could mean the world.
That's true. And Mike, I just want to say that is so brave of you to do that. What you're doing right now for all the children and the moms especially who are having. I'm sorry.
Sorry. You okay?
Yeah, it's just I can't imagine what my mom went through. About 2 hours ago, I called my dad, and I just had him give me the skinny, just to refresh my mind on how it was. And he was He was in the missile silos in Vietnam. So he was a week down, and then they would call him up for a week. And when I was born, he was in the missile silo, and they called him. They said, "Hey, William, your son's born. Your mom or your wife's at the hospital." So he got there, and he said to my mother, "Oh, this is a normal baby. Oh, this is what they look like. Okay," because they didn't know until the doctors were telling them, "Well, this isn't normal at all." To be a mom, to go through this struggle and say, what is my life now looking like? What I thought it was going to be different. And I don't know if people are finding out in utero. I don't know the technology. I'm no scientist. But at the same time, when you do find out your life is going to be very, very different, what is that? What is that mind blow? I mean, what happens? So for you to be available for someone to talk to and like me cry to, uh, is, I mean, brother, I just want to grab you and hug you right now. I'll tell you what, that's so huge because I'm not there yet. I mean, I'm talking to you now, and it seems like I've got it all together. But bro, there's times where, and my mother's been dead 25 years now, so literally half my life ago, and I can't talk to her about it anymore. So I would like to ask her, Mom, when I was born, what were your expectations? What was versus your reality? You know, how did you cope? Who did you talk to? Right?
Yeah.
Who did you cry to in the middle of the night? Was it my dad? So yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, I just wanted to pat you on the back, man, because you're doing a big thing, and not a lot of people have that in their life.
And I'm sorry to hear that about your mother. My
Oh,
condolences.
yeah, it was, well, yeah, I mean, you know, how old are you? You're 21?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, 4 years before you were even born, man, so it's all good.
So for a prune belly who feels like there's nothing out there for him or feels like giving up, what would your advice to them be?
So I know we talked about some of the older guys. Frank is 56, and many other older men that are, so to my surprise, you know, they're also prune belly. I'm like, what? I asked them the same question. Hey, what do you recommend? I would say that when you look around and you see the dialysis bag and you see the machine and you see the note, next Tuesday you've got to go do this thing with this specialist, and you look around at your bills, which can be insurmountable at times. Look, I'm wearing a t-shirt that says y'all need Jesus, and people take it as a joke, but the only real thing I have to offer anybody is that I'm just a nobody trying to tell anybody about somebody who loves everybody, and that's Jesus. And without him, I have no hope. I literally have no hope, because when we understand that we were created, like Jeremiah says, I knew you in your mother's, I'm going to cry again. I knew you in your mother's womb, you know, and I formed you and knit you with the purpose that you're to be who you're supposed to be. And I would just say that you as a prune belly person, or you as a prune belly mom, or a brother or a sister or a dad or an uncle or anybody, look, you're special and you're unique and you were made for this purpose. I didn't want to go bald. You know, look at this weird dimple in my nose. I didn't want to have that my whole life. Look at that. It's like I don't even know what's going on. I've got dimples there. I've got dimples in my fingers and my hands and right here. So I'm just a weird looking dude. And, you know, Pauly Potato, another nickname I had to get rid of. I was formed with a purpose. And so I'm no longer Pauly Potato. I'm Pauly Hart. And when I find out how special I am to him, that's the only thing that matters. Because I know that if I was the only person ever to have been born like Adam, way back when, you know, he's like, oh, I love you so much. If you were the only one ever to have been here, I would have been here just for you. And so that intimacy from the Father God. Now, I don't know if you're Buddhist or if you're Hindu or if you're Hare
Pentecostal.
Pentecostal, okay. So, but we're in the same boat. We know Yahuwah and Yeshua HaMashiach and the whole of the Pentateuch and the Tanakh and the Torah and all this and the new covenant with Christ. He died on the cross for our sins. But listen, it doesn't matter. Every road that you can be on has to come, and in my opinion, has to come to Christ, because you are going to find that he's the only one who ever was raised from the dead, who only fulfilled his own prophecies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The most historically accurate man ever to have ever not been documented. There's more proof of Christ than there's William Shakespeare. And I could go on and on about that, but that's not my purpose here. Is not to preach Christ, but I always do preach Christ, because without him, I've got nothing, man. I got nothing,
Yeah.
Mike. And so yeah, that you asked me how I do it. I do it through the grace that he gave me, because with me, I'm just a sad, prune belly boy that has nothing. But with him, all things are possible. And that's really all I got is him. My faith, my hope, my entire being as a person lies within him.
That's absolutely amazing. So I know you mentioned you had a wife. Did you have any girlfriends before her, or was she your first one you married, or?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. So this is where we get into the PG realm. Is that right? Or I was a good Christian boy, and I waited till marriage to give myself to my first wife. I was 25, believe it or not.
Wow.
And that is a long time to wait. There were several temptations, and even though I was kind of me, prune belly boy, I was real skinny. So I would wear a girdle to high school, and I had to take it off because one day I was bending over and it ripped because it was Velcro, and so like I had to run to the restroom real quick. So there was a struggle with like, how do I appear in public? What do I do? So I would wear a really tight shirt and then a loose shirt over it, kind of like I'm doing now with this and this. So this has been my style for 30 years, since high school. Just to wear a tight shirt. I used to flex a lot, as much as I could. I have one small muscle on the right side. Hold on, I'll show you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have one small muscle here that comes up, and I can sort of flex it a little bit, but there's not much there. So, but for the most part, just this one little area here would go in, and then it would appear like I was a little bit thinner than normal. But when I realized that I was just me, I stopped doing that, took the girdle off, and decided to, hang out with girls. And so I got a couple of smooches in, but it wasn't until 25 I married, and gave my wife my gift. And I've been married to, this is my third wife now, Jennifer, and she loves me for who I am. She's not going to try to change me, which my first two wives decided that that's why they wanted me, because I was good with their kids, and they wanted somebody else. So they were the two girls that wanted the bad guy but settled for the goody two shoes, which is me. Yeah. So once I got someone who actually likes me for me, lucky number three, I guess, I've been blessed. And so Jennifer and I have been married for 12 years now, and she is my best friend. I found out that if you laugh at the same things, the same jokes, that's the one. Marry your best friend, because you're always going to have her.
All right. So, is there anything else with your story you'd like to share? I mean, how far, I don't even remember how far we are into this. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. I'm looking through my notes here. Excuse me. My father, so we were in 72. I was born in Wichita, Kansas, moved to Lafayette, Louisiana. Then in 1972, we moved to Indonesia. We were on the conveyor belt, the little moving sidewalk.
Yeah.
And the little teeth that come in from all the new things that go in like that, and they were kind of harsh back then. So there were these claws, and I fell over, and I fell on my belly, right like as I'm headed towards these claws, and my dad knew that if I were to hit these with my overalls on, because I always wore overalls, and I think I sent you that picture, I would have been ripped to shreds, because it's just skin and organs. There are nothing there.
Yeah.
So he does this like football dive, grabs me and throws me we but if he hadn't have done that, I mean, he literally saved my life by picking me up and throwing me, because he couldn't pick me up and stand because I was so close and it was happening so
Yeah.
fast. He just picks me up and throws me. So there's got to be a connect, and I think I told that story just to say this. There has to be a connect with the father. The father has to always be, and if there's no father, well, then I pray there is, but the mom has to fill the shoes temporarily. There's got to be a protector. There's got to be, angels or whatever. You've got to have someone always there to watch your back, to make sure, until they're like, even when I was 10, I was doing stupid stuff like climbing trees and like hanging by my belly on swings. What are you doing? So soccer was the most contact sport I was allowed to play, and that's why I was in track and field. I did get hit one time in baseball in the downstairs, and I think I went to the hospital. I don't really remember what happened. They wanted to take me to the hospital, but I just laid there because I did black out. I lost consciousness.
Oh.
That was, freshly descended, and then, so
Yeah.
just be very, very aware of what little boys are always going to bound to do. They want to explore and destroy themselves in the process. So pray for protection. Pray for a covering of protection around that special child. My dad saved my life, and I don't have what do you do? It's like, wow, Dad. He's like, look, it was just instinct. This is my son. He's going to die. Save him. So I just pray there's somebody like that out there for every single PBS person that has, and like today, my wife is my best friend, and she has my knife she has my back in a knife fight if it comes to that. But hopefully it'll never come to that. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if it ever does, man, there's got to be somebody there for you. So partnerships are invaluable.
Yeah. So I know you said you went to Indonesia. How was the medical care there?
Well, it was the 70s, and it was right after or during, actually it's still during Vietnam. We were okay. I was a little white boy in the middle of little brown people, and we were aliens. I didn't have pigmentation, so bright white hair, so I looked like an angel. There were several times I almost got kidnapped. But if we wanted medical care, we would fly to Singapore, where the Western world was more pervasive. It was either Singapore or Brunei, but they decided we weren't rich enough to go to Brunei, so we went to Singapore. My brother was born with pyloric stenosis. Pyloric stenosis is where the flap right above the stomach doesn't want to open, and so he would projectile vomit. So they had to do surgery on him in Singapore for that. They didn't have any other children. They were kind of afraid what they might get with any more children. The doctors in Indonesia they said, we don't know what to do. We don't know anything about this. You need to go somewhere else. So yeah, it was these are people who still cut the grass with a machete, and their idea of a fence is a banyan tree. And you've got goats. I'll tell you what, Mike, we had a pet dog, and it bit me, and then it disappeared. I think they ate it. We had pet goldfish in our pond because we lived in like a little compound. If you think of especially like China, if you watch the movies where China, they always have those big gates in front of their house. That's kind of how our house was. We had goldfish one day, and then we came back and we found out that Takini and Sashira ate them. So, oh well, bye goldfish. So it was a very, very different world. Very different world.
Sounds like it. So what would you say was your biggest challenge with Prune Belly?
That's a good question. My biggest challenge with Prune Belly, when I was working as a contractor building houses, and I would work my body, in a regular, hardworking outside way, which I don't suggest to anyone with Prune belly. Don't take a job as a carpenter. But I would wake up and I would be sore with shin splints, with back tightness, because I mean, as you know, I did a sit up, my first sit up at age 14. I was so happy. I was like, wow, a sit up, but it was all my back. So here's my back and here's my top, and every time I'm doing anything, it's my back. My back is working. So if I'm 50, I've got a 100-year-old back. I mean, I don't want to, cast negativity upon my life by saying it that way, but every physical activity I'm doing, I have to understand to, they say lift with your legs, not with your back. My goodness, that is so true with us, because we want to make sure and always take care of our body. You want to eat right, you want to drink right, you don't want to partake in any illicit drugs or anything like that. You want to make sure you're eating healthy. So I'm a very health conscious person with what I eat, and I want to take care of my body because I've been in that place where I wake up in the morning and I can't move. I cannot literally move. I can't get out of bed. My L1 and my L2 are creaking and groaning. Why am I my hands are frozen like this? I can't move. Right here, I forget what this is, this muscle right here. It's not coming up. I can't move this arm because of this and that. So the rest of the body is overworked because of the lack. I'm so stubborn. I just keep going. So I was in construction for a long time, and eventually I stopped. I'm like, I'm going to become a writer. This construction stuff is for the birds. So I know how to maintain my own house. I know how to flip. We flipped houses before. I did some incredible work, but and I'm not afraid of heights. Oh, you know what, Mike? I went skydiving. That got over my fear of heights. So I just decided, I was tired of being afraid of a ladder. So I was like, I'm just going to get rid of it once and for all, go skydiving. And, it's one of the best things I did for myself. But the constant wear and tear, I think my biggest stressor in this entire question is you have to maintain, you have to stretch. I don't do yoga because I don't believe in the spiritual ramifications of this, but I'm a big believer in stretching. I love to stretch. My hot water bill is through the roof because I have a shower head the size of 5 or 6 beats on my back, and I'll stretch. I'll do all my stretches in the morning, and I'll stretch at night. Sometimes I take 2 showers a day. But limberness and making sure you have the right nutrients in your muscle groups, because the rest of your body has to make up for this cavern, this loss in your torso. So all of your activities. And if you can't do something, figure out a way, because, like getting out of bed. How do I get out of bed? Well, I kind of do the either roll, whoop, or I go to the side and then kind of scoot out. So
same way.
Yeah. And being married sometimes is difficult in that way. But at the same time, you got to figure things out. So there's not a right way, there's not a wrong way, because it's your way, and you are special, unique, and individual, and there's nothing wrong with you. You're just different, and everyone is different. Everyone has their own thing. Some people have curly hair, some people have straight hair, some people have goatees. Look at Mike, he's got a mustache. I don't like mustaches, but he does. So, we have every single look at these weird nose people, I don't know. So you have to figure it out, but always just take care, because there's a story in the Bible where this really rich guy, he goes on a trip and he gives one guy 1 coin, and he gives another guy 2 coins, another guy 3, another guy 5, and he comes back. The guy with 5 made another 5, so he had 10, but the guy with 1 just dug a hole in the ground and hid it. So if I have 2 or 3 talents, I'm not going to hide them. I'm going to take care of them. So if I'm given a watermelon seed, I'm going to turn that watermelon seed into a garden. So always take care and tend like a gardener. Or if you have a nice fluffy little bunny rabbit, you don't want to punch them. You want to take care of them. So always take care of what God's given you. So stretching, the right vitamins, I'll tell you, I swear by it. It's the best thing ever. Taking care of the muscles that you do have to make up for the ones you don't have.
All right. Now, I think this is the last question. What would you say was the most important lesson you've learned through Prune Belly?
That is a wonderful, wonderful thing to contemplate. And I don't think I have an actual answer, in that I think at the very beginning that I did talk about being who you're made to be. And I'm just going to go right back to a Bible story. There's a guy on a potter's wheel. If you guys have ever seen a potter's wheel, it's just a big flat disc that spins around, and you put a lump of clay on it, and you're molding the clay and you're pushing it up, and then you put your hand inside, you're making a vase. And then you say, okay, I've got this awesome vase, and you put it on the shelf and turn it into what's called greenware. And then you've got stacks and stacks, all these vessels, all these cups are sitting there. Well, if they could talk, do you think they would complain? And if they looked around at the other vessels that were made by the potter, would they say, man, I don't have a handle. Man, I'm square and you're round. Man, I'm flat and you're like a bowl. Man, you're a cup. What are you, dude? You know, you're an ashtray. You know, you were made from second graders. You know, all these things that the potter makes from the clay. And I don't think I have the right. I don't think I have the actual rights to say to God, you made a mistake. Man, I'm gonna cry, Mike. Whew, this is getting me.
Yeah.
So I can't. I mean, I could be the spiteful, hateful. Oh, I'm so mad about my Prune Belly syndrome. Or I can say to him who made me, wow, you gave me really awesome hands. Wow, look at those ears. Those are awesome. You know, wow, look at those eyebrows. Those are cool eyebrows. You're so awesome. You're a great creator. You missed a spot, but that's okay. I love you anyway. And I'm not complaining, but I do feel that I maybe need some extra grace here on the subject, you know, just saying a little bit more love. So always rejoice in the good things that you have. He gave me the ability to write children's stories. He gave me the ability to paint. He gave me the ability to, you know, talk to you. I mean, I can walk, I can talk. I can walk, Mike. That is such a big deal. Such a big deal that you know, I used to complain about my shoes until I met a man who had no feet.
Wow.
Yeah. So always be grateful for what you have, because it could be worse.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
So would you be willing to come back on the show if the viewers had any questions for you about your story?
Yes, that would be fine. I could do that for you and for them.
All right. All right, everyone, you heard it on the channel here. If you have any questions about Pauly's story, please comment them below. If you want to contact me to either tell your story or just to talk privately, my number will be in the description below, and my Facebook link to my Facebook will be there as well. I want to thank you for watching the video. If you would like to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and click that notification bell. And we'll see you next week with another video. I want to thank Pauly for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks.